All right, so here's a preview of what we're going to be making. We're going to be mapping a hotkey progress or input to progress bar with a percentage, and if you get it within the range of holding it, say, for 3 seconds with like a plus or minus 0.2 threshold, it will trigger an event. And that's right now just launches us into the air. Cool. So let's get started. All right, so to get started, we're going to want to set up our game mode to handle what new classes that we're going to be making. So if you go into the world settings, you can see in here we've got game mode. Under here, this little arrow drop down, you have selected game mode. You have third person character, HUD class, and player controller class. So there is no custom third person controller class yet. We're just using the player controller, which is default. So we're going to create a new one. So let's go do that. Right click, create blueprint, go into player controller. We're going to name it BP underscore third person player controller. And then we're going to go in there. And this is where we're going to start. So we're going to want an event here. We're going to delete these. We're going to bring back event begin play eventually. But for now, I just always almost delete those. So we want to set up our inputs. So if you go over here in the folder section underneath blueprints and input, you see IMC default. This is our enhanced input mapping section. You can see there's jump, move, and look. We're going to want to create a new mapping. To do that, you hit the plus button. There's a little drop down menu here, and you see there's these 3 input actions. We're going to create a new one of those. To do that, we go into our actions folder. We're going to right click. We're going to input and then input action. We type IA. Let's call it LMB just for left mouse button to keep it simple. If you double click that, it has all this information, but you actually don't need to change any of that. So back into IMC default, if you come here where our new mapping is, we're going to click the drop down menu, go into IA LMB that we just created, and then you want to map what it is. You can click this and manually select it, but you can also use this little button, click that, and then just left click, and it'll automatically detect that you're using the left mouse button, which is pretty sweet. Alright, so that's the basics of the enhanced input system. It's very convenient for what we want to do because you can map different inputs through different classes, and I really like what they did with that in Unreal Engine 5. And we are in 5.2 for this example, by the way. Okay, now if you right click and type in enhanced input component, sorry that I'm trying to go kind of fast because I made another version of this video and it was like 30 minutes long. So let's go LNB. Boom, enhanced input ILMB. So right click and we do a print string just to make sure that our inputs are working. We're going to go with triggered because that'll trigger, well, every time it gets triggered. Compile play to test. So when you hold the left mouse button click, nothing's happening, and this is because we haven't set up the mapping in the game mode yet. So as I mentioned earlier in the beginning, over to the right over here we have our player controller class. We want to map to the one we just created in third person blueprints, which is our third person player controller. So if you go to here, player controller BP third person player controller, boom, we've got that. If you notice these stars down here, that means that they haven't actually been saved, and you're going to want to save those, otherwise if it crashes you're going to have a bad time. So here's a pro tip. If you go into edit and then editor preferences, and then if you type in the search bar, you type in save on compile, I like to set that to on success only, and that will save anytime you compile, so you don't have to push the button twice every time. And that way whenever Unreal Engine crashes out of nowhere, you don't go crazy because all your work's messed up. Alright, so now what? Now we want to create some variables. What kind of variables do we want to create? Well, we want to know how long we should be holding a button down to hit our target time, and roughly what kind of a window of time we want to accept as a good amount. So that's 2 right there. You can click the plus button, go to float, because we want to float. If you don't know what a float is, look it up, but I'll tell you anyways. A float is like a decimal value number, so it's not a whole number. So we're going to call this target time, and we're going to create another variable. We're going to call this threshold. Alright, I can probably slow down a bit because I'm like trying to haul Whole ass. All right. Target time, we're gonna set the default value to, let's do 2 seconds this time because 3 seconds just feels a little slow. Since we're speed running and we want to save some time, our threshold will say plus and minus 0.2, and that'll be 2.2 and 1.8, if you know what I'm saying. So we'll have a nice little window that you can hit the target. Okay, so we want to know how long we've been holding down the button. So to do that, we can copy and paste this print string. And if we take the elapsed seconds and plug that into our string, it'll tell us how many seconds have elapsed since the last time this was triggered. And so we'll change this color so you can see it more clearly. And now if we hold the mouse button down, check it out. On the left, you can see hello and how much time has elapsed. And now we can use that number to drive the progress bar percentage. So to create a progress bar, the next step is to create a widget blueprint. Right click, user interface, widget blueprint. And you go into user widget, type it in WB, call it progress bar. Alright, so I wanted to make sure that my audio was even recording, because I've done this where I've recorded an entire video and not had audio, and that's always fun. So we're inside of the widget blueprint, and we got our graph over here. This is where we're going to set up events, and then our designer, which you click up in the top right corner. So we want to add a canvas, which is like your basic widget container, I would say. And to that, we're just going to add a progress bar. So canvases allow you to stack widgets on top of each other, so it's very useful, especially if you're just throwing stuff together. You want to anchor this progress bar. We're going to go with the middle, and you'll clear these to 0 out. That'll bring that to the center. If you want to align it by the half, or in the middle, you put 0.5 and 0.5. That kind of centers it. We're going to make this, let's just do 420 long, and we're going to make that, we'll leave it at 40, that's fine. We're going to lower it, and we'll also do that 420, blaze it. So, if you see the percent value here, you can actually change that. So that is what is going to be our visual cue for when we're near our target. If you want to do this on your own, you could add a texture here and have like a little green area, kind of like those old school like golf and football games. But anyway, that's outside of this tutorial. So we've got that. Now we want to go back to graph. We're going to go in here and we're going to create a custom event. The custom event is, let's see, update progress bar. What do we got? We got a progress bar here, which, oh yeah, okay, double check. It should already be default there, but this will have progress bar. Make sure this is checked to is variable is true. That way we can access it. I'm gonna go progress bar. I don't know, target. Sure, target's fine. Naming variables is like the hardest thing in programming. Just kidding. It's not staring into the void for too long. Anyway, so we got progress bar target. We want to set percent. That's not right. We want to set percent. The other one. The other percent. There we go. Take this percent value and we're going to plug that in there so that when we call this update progress bar function, it executes this code which will update the percentage, which is this little guy right here, and you can see how that's all connected. Very cool. Alright, back to our third person player controller. We're going to create a new event on play. Begin play. So we want to get a reference to the widget we just created, and actually we want to create it. So let's create widget. And we're going to go WB progress bar. So that creates the widget. Then we have to add it to the screen by going here, and we're going to say add to viewport. We don't need to mess with Z order. We're also going to create a reference to this widget so we can get it in our other functions, so we can call the update progress bar percent event. So what we want to do is right click or drag that out and promote to variable. We want to name this variable. We'll call it progress bar ref. Do that for reference. So when the game starts, this will execute and we'll set our reference. Now we can get our reference here, which is this right here, and we want to call, what was it, update progress bar. Boom. So that will update our progress bar with our elapsed time. But what we want to do is get our target time, which is 2 seconds. And let's see, our threshold as well. So first, let's just test this. Let's just see if this even does anything. Plug that in, and we'll show you that it does something. So you hold the button down and it fills. Cool, but that's not what we want, but it's kind of on the right path. Always be testing. ABT. Okay, let's see. We want our target time and our threshold time. So let's create the window of time. We'll call this, press C to do a comment, by the way. So we'll say create window or time window. Let's see, target time, subtract threshold. This will be our minimum time. If we do target time plus, that is our maximum time. If you want to create these little dots, you just double click on the wire and that'll give you a little cord to work with. I'm gonna put a comment here and go min time. Oh no, it's ugly. Let's make it better. All right. Spend hours of your day making your comment boxes cleaner looking. Alright, max time. Love it. You can also change colors of your comments if you didn't know that. It's just right here. You can go wow. Sure, blue. So now that we got our time windows, what do we want to do with them? We want to compare the elapsed time with them, which is in seconds. So we're going to do our comparisons. We're going to say less than or equal and greater than or equal. So if elapsed time is less than or if elapsed time is greater than, and we're going to say if it's less than the min time, or greater than the max. Actually, no, this is backwards. Sorry, I'm slightly dyslexic sometimes. If it's less than the max, I was thinking of like, what would fail? It's like, yeah, that would fail every time. If it's less than the greater than, or less than the max, greater than the min, we're in the window. In the sweet spot. So we'll say branch. That's a branch is like an if then statement or if statement, and it's got true or false outcomes. So if we are greater than the min time, and that's true, we want to check, okay, are we less than the max time? And if that is true, we want to say, we'll do print for now. We'll say all caps in window time. Make that green. And we'll say copy paste that, we'll make it red. We'll say too long. Too slow, more like it. Okay, copy paste that, and we'll say too short. There we go. Wish I was a little bit taller. Wish I was a baller. Okay. Test. We're still missing something. We got to update our progress bar. We're already doing that, but we don't have a percentage. What is the percentage? A max of... It's going to be our target time. We'll say target time plus our threshold. So we'll say like once you get to 3 or 2.2, then that's the max of the bar just for test or this tutorial purpose. Okay, so we got that. That'll come through. That'll tell us our percent. That's not correct. We still need to fix that up. A percentage would be a division. We want to do some math. Actually, hold on. Let's change this. Let's do this. Let's call this variable target time. And we'll do this variable max time. And instead of target time, we'll say current time or elapsed time. And that will be a float. I'm passing the, I was going to do the math here, but we're going to just pass that into the interface. Oops. Sorry, I'm trying to hurry. And I also have audio on in the background. We pass the plug into there. Okay, here we go. This looks more correct. So we want to do elapsed time divided by max time. And we want to do 2 divided by 1. And we want max time divided by elapsed time. I always mix these up every time. But we'll figure it out. Even if they're mixed up, we'll just switch them. Okay. Let's see all of this. That looks pretty good to me. Let's test it out. Hold it down. Let's test the short. So that's saying too short. That's executing every time, weirdly enough. First of all, let's reset the progress bar when we let go of it. So let's create another custom event in our progress bar. Call this reset progress bar. Proggers. Reset our proggers. Okay. We'll do set percent. I should have just copied and pasted that whole thing. Set that to 0. Cool. Oh, no, you gotta call it. Bow, bow, bow. So after each of those, we will call from our progress bar ref set percent reset proggers. I'm about to be super lazy. I'm just gonna call this reset, and then I'm gonna plug this in here. You don't have to do this. I should just screw it. I'll keep it easy for you guys. So delay. We'll give it like a second delay. Plug that in there. So normally I never would feed these into this one because I don't like the way that looks. So we're just going to copy and paste this. Even though it's kind of repetitive, it's just easier to keep track of, and if you want to do something else, it'll work. All right, hauling butt cheeks. Let's change this color a little more turquoisey, a little more electric wild blue. Where are we at with it? So we go short. Cool, when it resets, you see that it resets. If we go long, let's hold it all the way. Too long. Let's try to get to 2.2. Oh, in window time, nice. Cool. So we know that that works. So now what? Now we want to do something. Let's do some bonus activities. So basically that's how you would set up a progress bar and how you get it to target in that little sweet spot window. Say you want to like hold a button down and check if it's being pressed for 2 seconds or 3 seconds, or and have like a little threshold window of time that'll be accepted. And you'll have your different, like your fail events over here for too short and too long. These, and then over here, this is the success. We say in window of time. And here we want to do something. So let's get our pawn just for fun. Get player pawn. Ooh, slide. We're going to cast to our third person character. We're going to enable physics. Set physics. Simulate physics on our mesh. I'm going to hit that to true. Capsule component. Set simulate physics. There's probably a better way to do this because I'm trying to rush this. You can actually set ragdoll in, but I'm not going to do that. Let's add an impulse force. What do you think? Velocity change? I think so. And we'll do that for the same. We might as well do it for the capsule component too. I don't know what's going to happen if we do it to both. That sounds kind of chaotic. Let's go 10,000. I might have just put 100,000. So this, if you get a success range in the window, we should get our character player pawn. Make sure that they're player character. We're turning on physics. Click. And then we're going to add 10,000 to the Z velocities. So let's go. Boom. And that's a successful launch, baby. Alright, I hope this quick tutorial helped you. I tried to make it fast. It still wasn't even that fast, but it was a lot quicker than 30 minutes. I'll edit this up maybe a little bit. And, oh wow, we can launch again. That was cool. We bounce. Apparently we bounce. Let's check that out. Rad. Can we launch again? Oh, we can do it again. Wait, can we launch again when we're in the air? We're going to space. Goodbye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Go to my Unreal Engine marketplace. Buy my stuff. Follow my Discord. Remember me. I'm here to help you. We're going to space. Dude, I didn't even know you could go through the clouds. What the? We're going. Dude, I'm just gonna keep, how far can we launch? The kill screen. Space isn't real. Space isn't real. The earth is flat. Alright, I gotta go. Have a good time with that. I hope that helped you in your little projects, and hope you understand enhanced inputs in Unreal Engine 5. Make use of that. Cover a little bit of references to widgets. What else did we do? I didn't even use a timer. I thought I was going to use a timer. Ooh. Don't worry about that, Eric. You can fix that. I believe in you. So you can just change that setting on your object query in physics or physics only if you like to add impulse. Character mesh to have collision enabled, set to query and physics. Sure, dude. Do you believe them? I don't believe them. It's just a warning. Let's go there. Let's check it out. Let's see what they're talking about. Where are we at? Capsule component. Do you see physics? I don't. Here we go. Physics. Simulate. We already enabled that. We want it to be query. Collision. Presets. pawn. Collision no, query. It's already set. What do you mean? It's already set. Ah, no physics collision on the mesh. You know, I wonder. I pretty much almost guarantee, but I'm not gonna guarantee that we can just not do it to the mesh. Since the mesh is a child of the capsule component, if we send the capsule component into space, I think it'll send the mesh with it. This really is not important at all, but because we're here... Oh yeah, there you go. That's if you want the mesh to come with it. That makes sense. Of course our dude isn't flying. Anyway. Alright, that's it for me. Hope it helped. Hope you had a good time. Till next time, peace. Alright, but before we finish, there's a couple more things that we should do just to clean this up a little bit. So in our blueprint controller, or our controller blueprint, instead of doing this code or executing this code every time things are triggered, we're going to want to execute them on completed. And so we're going to move these down and just go like this. It's going to be a little tricky to grab everything. And we'll just pull from completed, plug that into there. So this way on triggered, we're still updating the progress bar, and then when completed, we will execute this code. So it's not always being called and checked. It's a little bit of a optimization and just makes things cleaner and work better. And that's it. So now when you hit play and you hold the button, get the window of time and it launches. Yeah. Very cool. I hope that helped you and I hope you learned something.